South African thorn trees as bonsai. If you have an interest in them or would like to know more about them, then this video is for you. Good day. My name is Leo Moflati and it is the 26th of June 2026 and we are here at my home in Centurion, Gauteng, South Africa. The topic of this video is South African thorn trees as bonsai. The two genus for bonsai in South Africa are namely Senegalia and Verchelia. Trees under the genus Acacia were shared by trees in South Africa and Australia. And in 2005, it was decided that the Australian trees should be given the genus name Acacia. This was formalized in 2011. And after that, the African acacias were split into two, namely Senegalia and Verchelia. Like this Senegalia next to me here, the monkey thorn. And framing this picture, we have a sweet thorn and a fever tree. South African thorn trees have that very iconic shape of that flat crown that we so strongly associate to Africa, and particularly the savanna, and have a very strong appearance to the Pierre Neef style and the trees depicted by Pierre Neef in his paintings. These thorn trees are very popular for bonsai in South Africa. Many starter bonsais from common nurseries would usually be Senegalias, monkey thorns or black monkey thorns like this one next to me, as they present quite fat trunks and very aged and peeling bark from a young age. And the compound leaves give an impression of ramification. The species most common for bonsai under the genus Senegalia feature in chapter 29 of my book, Growing South African Trees as Bonsai, and Verchelia only having a subchapter towards the end of the book, because Senegalia are far more common and far more successful as bonsai. It's a late winter afternoon here at the Inspirational Garden and Bonsai Collection of Oog Exley. Many people ask me the differences between the different Senegalias. The example over here is Senegalia galpinii. This example here by Oog Exley is probably one of the best examples of the flat top style. And this tree featured in Charles Soronio's book, A Practical Guide to Bonsai Styles of the World by Breeza Publications. The monkey thorn is ready to make a thicker trunk with far more ease than the black monkey thorn, with the compensation of not ramifying as easy. Oog explains to me that under the very flaking bark of the monkey thorns, you will find a slightly thinner trunk, and the thicker trunks are an illusion of the flaking bark. A very cunning pest of the monkey thorns, and actually all the Senegalias, is a scale insect that is horned and has a thorn and disguises itself exactly as the thorns of the Senegalias. Hand removal is best, and should infestations be very bad, you could use a systemic. When pruning the monkey thorns, one should actually look if live buds are present, because at some nodes you will find that nodes are budless. And should you prune back to a budless node, the branch won't extend for the rest of that season. However, it might encourage back budding. So either way that you look at it, the thick trunk of a monkey thorn is going to be compensated with a long journey to create ramification. This tree has been in the possession of Oog for 30 years, and Oog actually got the tree as a 20-year-old tree that was grown from seed. The pot previous to this, that can be seen in Charles Soronio's book, was a rectangle pot that was slightly deeper, and only last season did Oog get this tree in a much shallower pot that really brought out the flat top style. The lack of ramification of these monkey thorns is compensated with much smaller and thinner leaflets, unlike the black monkey thorn, which we are going to go and get now. Just as one would naturally style baobab trees in the baobab style, Monkey thorns and black monkey thorns should be styled with the intention of how they grow in nature, like the flat top that we saw previously. Here is an example of the black monkey thorn, and one can clearly see what I was speaking about earlier, when the trunks are slightly thinner, but the ramification is so much more generous. This tree, like the other, is also 50 years old and has been in Och's care for the last 30 years. Also well illustrated by the two trees of Och that we've been looking at is the pot choice, where an ever so slightly glazed pot that still suits its savanna theme and yet its deciduous habit. Black monkey thorns, once they've reached this level of development, need annual thinning out, as the entire canopy becomes so dense with so many crossing branches. One should take note when cutting branches and twigs of any of the Senegalias, as a little stub should be left for dieback, and should one prune too close to a bud, it will die back past that node. Here in the beautiful bonsai garden of Ilse van Niekerk of the Pretoria Bonsai Kai, I have found the third most popular Senegalia for bonsai being the knobthorn. We don't see as many of them, yet they bear similar or as equally good traits for bonsai. What separates them are the notably round or lobe-shaped leaves and the very needle-like thorns. Their growth is finer and their twigs are thinner, and they should be a great consideration for bonsai. Many Senegalia are easily propagated by seed. The Senegalia here next to me, the monkey thorn, won the Best African Style at January's Brat meeting. Accounts of that exhibition and this tree and its interview with its owner can be found on the YouTube video on my channel called Bonsai Exhibition with Friends. Two other Senegalia worth mentioning is the blackthorn, and I've only seen one of those, which belong to Tannie Erika Kuehler of the Pretoria Bonsai Kai, and its leaves were much like the black monkey thorn. The fourth was the blue thorn, and again from the Pretoria Bonsai Kai, was the only one that I ever saw that belonged to the late Louis van der Walt, and their leaves were incredibly similar to the usual monkey thorn, and it could even be that some of us have the blue thorn and incorrectly identified as the monkey thorn. When growing Senegalia by seed, one should take action on the taproot early, perhaps in the first or the second year, and to cut the taproot back to present adventitious roots or side roots. Quite often, Senegalias don't have very presentable or classic nabari or surface roots, and they quite often have a coiled or snake-like taproot in their pots. The advantage of growing them by seeds is that one can take control of those root faults from an early stage. We should probably speak about Vachelia. Next to me is a sweet thorn, and one can see the challenges that they present. They are described as not enjoying being in pots, and they often die back. Yet some have had success with them, like Christopher Mark in the video Bonsai Exhibition with Friends, which I will leave a link to at the end of this video. Another successful sweet thorn can be found in Rudy Adams' book, as well as the very notable Literati example by Kweet van der Merwe, the current chairman of the Kimberley Bonsai Kai. That was the bonsai that I used to do a painting of that I exhibited at the Saba Mini Convention of November in 2025. Another notable Vachelia is the fever tree that present their very striking green trunks. The example by Gail Theron from Cape Town of the Bishopsford Bonsai Nursery is an excellent example of these trees in a forest as they appear in nature. Senegalia's distribution is noted to be in the temperate climates of South Africa that have summer rainfall. Yet our friends from the Cape, in a Mediterranean climate, have had great success with them as bonsai, such as the example in my book of the Black Monkey Thorn by Freddie Bischoff that won a prize at the African Bonsai Convention in 2024 in Stellenbosch. I trust that you've enjoyed part one of this two-part series that deals with thorn trees as bonsai. Look out for part two, where I interview growers of these amazing trees. To follow my channel, you can simply click on the logo that's on the screen right now and choose to watch some of the previous videos that I've mentioned. See you in the next episode.